Hey squad, it's GooberTroy, and I wanted to put out this quick video to go over crafting both the pet and things like alchemy or socketing. I'll quickly cover how it works since it doesn't feel like the tutorial did a great job, and in this video I'll be covering the acquisition of materials, the processing of those materials, the actual crafting process, and finally what you do with the crafted items themselves. So to get into the acquisition of materials, they are just basically found throughout the open world. They will be at these little blue nodes here, and you just simply collect them, and once you kind of complete that, a raw material will drop on the ground that you pick up. After acquiring your raw materials, you're ready to extract them, and in order to do this, you just have to hit the I key, which brings up this menu here. In this case, I looted some of the gold bamboo stone, so I'll use that as my example. You just have to click this little plus icon, and this brings up the extraction menu, and you can change the quantity you want to receive in the final product. In this case, I'm just going to use one. So I have 4 gold bamboo raw materials, but I just want to process one of the 4 to get one of the refined stones. So just confirm that, and that processes, and it gives me one refined item once this kind of is finished timing out. And lastly, you get these little spoiled items after you do the refinement process. You can do whatever you want with them. They're basically junk. You can sell them. You can feed it to your pet if you want. And speaking of feeding items to your pet, I'll touch on that in a moment. But yeah, for the most part, these are just kind of junk. Now that you have a refined item, you're ready to turn that into a final product. In order to do that, you can do that through the same menu in the I key by selecting this crafting tab here, and that looks like this UI here. However, you can just go to this workbench here, and if you interact with this workbench, it brings up the same menu, and there's just a list of recipes here for elixirs. There's also some other crafted items such as gear components, socketing, stuff like that. If you want to buy some of the recipes, there's a vendor here where they will sell various recipes that you can just purchase and use from there. As for the actual crafting component, once you interact with this workbench, I'm going to use alchemy as an example. You can just select any of these elixirs, and if you have the required materials, you just simply hit crafting, and that will process from there. And afterwards, you acquire one elixir. So what do I use this newfound elixir for? Well, if you open up your general skills tab and hover over your elixirs here, you'll notice that there's a bunch of regeneration, combat buffs, and battle support skills. And for example, the one I just created is called Illusory Blade, so you can see that here. I'll drag it onto my bar so you can see it actually change. It'll be located right here. After you consume this item, it will go from grayed out to usable, basically. I will consume this potion, and now I have 2 charges of this Illusory Blade buff. So basically, you can use these buffs as just a form of combat booster for DPS, or you can even enhance your healing or your tanking capabilities. So they're very flexible, and as a PvE player, they're going to be mandatory. So that about covers the alchemy and socketing side of things, but now I want to get into pet crafting a little bit. If you hit the P key, that'll open up this menu here, and the first option is called Feed, and this shows a list of items that you can basically let your pet consume, and it'll break these items and turn them into energy called Soul Chi. This Soul Chi basically gets spent exclusively, as far as I've seen, on crafting. And if you select the crafting menu, it comes up with a list of item level 60 pieces of gear that you can craft. Now, a lot of these pieces will require a lot of mysterious parchment, so that's where a little bit of the time gating comes from. But for the most part, you're still going to need Soul Chi to craft these parts. So make sure you're kind of feeding your pet as you go. 8,000 Soul Chi is the max, so I'm kind of capped on that. So if I have any excess items, I just sell it. But for the most part, yeah, your pet is used to craft not exactly end game item level materials, but basically near end game level. That about summarizes the whole crafting process for both your pets and things like alchemy. I know this was a little bit different style than most of my videos, but I just really wanted to get this quick one out, and the pacing and everything like that seemed kind of awkward to write a whole script, so I just did everything live. So really not my style of content. I apologize for any kind of mistakes I made, but again, I really appreciate all the support you guys have shown. I will be coming out with a Berserker DPS guide for PvE and PvP soon. So for all you Berserker players out there, keep an eye out for that. But again, this is GooberTroy from Squad Up Games reminding everyone to squad up and have fun.